Hello everybody watching on YouTube, and welcome to race number 5 of Season 2 NNSCRA Marvel Studios Cup Series. I am Levi McIntyre, the voice of the NNSCRA Marvel Studios Cup Series, here to welcome you to the Discount Tire 300 here at Canadian Tire Motorsports Park, also known as Mosport, as we're getting set for 11 laps of racing here at this wonderful road course. But before we take a look at the lineup, let's look at the top 10 in the point standings coming into the race today. Raphael Leduc leads the points by 4 points over Chris Michaels. And then third is Dorian Facepuncher, fourth is Charles Sanford, and then fifth is Anthony McCrory. Sixth is Trent Dunham, seventh is Grayson Ace Veto, eighth James Qualls, and then a three-way tie for ninth is Seth Cole, Kev Shearer, and Benjamin Miles. With that said, let's look at the lineup. Starting in the last row is Kev Shearer and Sean Galligan. Top 10, Nelson Thornhill is on the pole this week. Starting next to him is Raphael Leduc. Row 2 is Austin LaPlante and Johnny Gardner. Row 3 is Anthony McCrory and Matt Haas. Row 4, Dylan Thoreau, PJ Williams. And then row 5, Jessica Shelton and Mark Lane. So with that said, let's get the command to fire engines here at Canadian Tire.
Drivers, start your engines!
And there you have it. And remember, with road course races, there are no cautions, so if you crash, you crash. But an interesting front row we have here. Nelson Thornhill, who started off the season really strong, and then the last 2 weeks he's been having some issues getting involved in pretty brutal crashes. Has fallen from the top 10 down to 26 in the points, so he's definitely looking to get some momentum again. But Raphael Leduc, the points leader, is looking to win in his home country of Canada. But luckily for him, this is the first of 2 trips we're making to Canada this season. And boogity, 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 let's go racing! As Leduc and Thornhill are side by side going into the first corner, but it's Thornhill with the advantage, and he's going to clear the 99. Meanwhile, Johnny Gardner gets cleared of Austin LaPlante, and it's 3 wide back here for the 5th spot with McCrory, Matt Haas, and Dylan Thoreau, but it's settled out pretty well. Then behind them, it's double wide racing. Mark Lane actually underneath of the 41 of Dylan Thoreau for position on the racetrack. Well, now to the outside, since we're now entering some right-handers, as a majority of the drivers get into the rumble strips in the grass a little bit. Raphael Leduc falls to 3rd as a result. But it's McCrory and LaPlante maybe about to go at it for the 4th spot, and Dylan Thoreau trying to follow in. And then it's side by side for the 7th spot between PJ Williams and Matt Haas. Look around the back to see if anybody's wrecked, and nobody has. Meanwhile, up here at the front, Nelson Thornhill is going to lead lap number 1 here at Canadian Tire. Has a 3.5 advantage over the 15 of Gardner. Excuse me. Let's see where the 2nd place driver in the points is running right now, and Chris Michaels, about 19th, so unfortunately, if the race were to end right now, he'd lose a lot of points to the 99, but if he were to just maintain staying on the track, he will have a fantastic day, because this is his first time running this kind of a racetrack here at Canada. Meanwhile, it's kind of a bunched up scramble up here in the top 10 or so. But Nelson Thornhill takes advantage of that and continues to pull away from the 15. And meanwhile, battle for 2nd is about to ensue, as here comes Raphael Leduc with a run on the inside of the 15. And we are approaching a right-hander, so he's going to get the edge. Oh, and some contact knocks the 15 out of line a little bit. And I guess we did have something happen, and it was with Kyle Matthews. He's fallen back several spots. And actually, we do have a car out of the race, and that's the 10 of Ashland Boyd. So something must have happened to him in one of the areas where the tire walls are there, and it took him out of the race. But meanwhile, Johnny Gardner and Anthony McCurry are about to go at it for the 3rd position on the racetrack. As McCurry's running right on the back bumper of the 15, and then we got another battle behind them with LaPlante and Thoreau, and that's for the 5th position. Matt Haas in the 77 currently running in the 8th spot, so 2 out of the 4 Furniture Row racing cars that are in the field today are running in the top 10. With Thornhill up at the front, Matt Haas in 8th, so good day for that team right now. Unfortunately, 2 of the guys in that team, I believe, Angel Alvera, I don't think made the race. No, he didn't. And James Shelley didn't make it. And actually, we got another car out of the race, and that's Dorian Face Puncher. So I got a feeling right there in them S's is where they're getting into some pretty dangerous crashes. And I think I just saw one, Joshua Collard, off and into the tire wall. Same with Charles Sanford, top 5 in points. Tough break for those guys. And then Zach Rogers getting on pit road. He must have been involved in something. Or not. He actually just went in just to, I guess, top off on gas. Not sure if pit strategy is really going to come into play in this race or not. That's the thing. But meanwhile, Thornhill still leads the way, and LeDuc in 2nd, pulling away from 3rd place Anthony McCurry. And then meanwhile, Thoreau and LaPlante are still somewhat going at it for the 5th spot, but now they got Gardner in front of them, so it's going to turn into a battle for the 4th spot on the racetrack. Looking in the back to see if anything's about to happen, because I guess every lap we seem to have some sort of trouble with drivers around this part of the track in the S's. So we're going to keep our eyes open in this part of the track. I do remember in races in the past here at Canadian Tire that this has always been a trouble spot for drivers. But I think everything's sort of settled out to the point where we're not getting to that anymore. But in the meantime, back up at the front, Nelson Thornhill still leads here at Canadian Tire, but LeDuc has been closing the gap on the 78. And Anthony McCurry trying to close the gap on the 99 to get to 2nd. But he's got a long way to go. And then P.J. Williams actually now is into the 8th spot. Where in the world did LaPlante go? Wait a minute. I'm thinking he must have been in a crash. Well, there's Zorline. Yeah, he was involved. And it was actually involving Gardner and Thoreau. They must have had something go on somewhere on the track to where they crashed. And that was 3 of the top 5, or top 10, right there in one fell swoop, it seems. And yet I'm not entirely sure as to what part of the racetrack this happened. Could have been right here in the typical spot in the S's, or it could be maybe going into turn 1. We'll see. See if there's any tire marks through here, and no, I don't see any. Trying to figure out what part of the racetrack it could have been where they ended up crashing. Could have been out here because there's still a lot of dust, but then again, everybody's been going through the rumble strips into the dirt on that part of the racetrack, so that's still probably some combined dust clouds from all that. But in the meantime, Nelson Thornhill still leads, but Rafael LeDuc has been trying to close the gap on the 78, and he hasn't really made it prevail too much. Same with McCrory. But meanwhile, we got a new driver running up in the top 5, and that's David Rivera in the 5th position. So he's trying to go for his first top 5 finish of the season. So that's a good thing for the 6 car. So you got 2 out of the 3 Roush cars running in the top 10. Now, where is Chris Michaels running? I think I see him. Oh, I think I hear... Oh, it was McCrory who got into the wall a little bit, but he saved it, so he's still going. So, somehow it's surviving. And yeah, I see damage on Trent Dunham's machine. And look at the list of cars that are out of the race after everything that's happened. You got Dylan Thoreau, Johnny Gardner, Austin LaPlante, Joshua Collard, Charles Sanford, Dorian Facepuncher, Ashland Boyd. And now we got more cars involved and stuff. Grayson Ace Veto was involved in some, same with Jesse King. And Kev Shearer was involved in whatever happened. Meanwhile, up at the front, Thornhill still leads, but LeDuc continues to try to figure out how to close the gap and try to get to the point to pass him. But Thornhill's still been strong and maintaining himself in certain parts of the racetrack, like right here. He can run into that corner pretty smoothly and then run off here in the S's pretty smoothly as well. But LeDuc is right there. LeDuc closed the gap big time to less than 0.3 of a second, so it's going to come down to one of these two. Is it going to be Nelson Thornhill or the home country boy, Rafael LeDuc? Meanwhile, Anthony McCurry has lost time, and then David Rivera is trying to close in on P.J. Williams for 4th. And look at Mark Lane in the 56, currently in the 6th position, running over top of Matt Haas. Jessica Sheldon having a very good day going right now in the 9th spot. And how about Dylan Young, one of the guys who's trying to get back into the top 30 in points? He's running in the 10th spot right now, so he's having a pretty solid run going for himself as well. And that could be big help for him going forward. And meanwhile, Kev Shearer comes out of pit road and he's back out onto the racetrack. Don't know if he's going to be a factor to these top 2 guys or not. But meanwhile, Nelson Thornhill's still leading the way as they are approaching the 12 of Kev Shearer. So we're going to see what's going to happen with this. Is the 12 going to hold up the leader to help the 99 make a run for it? Or what? I'm not entirely sure. But now it looks like Thornhill's going to go underneath the 12. Though the 12's not really cutting them a break right now, but now Thornhill may have something. But now the 99's going to get held up. And that's a tough break for the 99, because if he can't catch back up to the 78, that's going to be a tough break, because he was closing in on that 78 car. He really was. So this might be a bit of a heartbreak for the current points leader. And then meanwhile, way further back is McCrory. Let's see where Chris Michaels is. There he is, running in the 12th position, so he's having a solid day, despite the fact he's going to end up losing points on the points lead. But he's having a good day nonetheless. So meanwhile, we actually do have a battle. Somehow, some way, the 99 has caught the 78 of Thornhill. I don't know what in the world just happened. Could it have been contact from the 12? I'm not entirely sure, but the 99 and the 78 are side by side for the lead. Thornhill trying to make something happen up there. Oh, it's going to be a very interesting fight now. Thornhill goes off into the grass a little bit, but 2 laps to go, and Rafael LeDuc has taken the lead from the 78 of Nelson Thornhill. Thornhill, I have no idea what just happened. I don't know if the 78 got loose in a corner or went off track, or the 12 had something to do with it, because look at how far the 12 has fallen back. Must have had something to do with the 12 or something. I'm not entirely sure as to what in the world has happened. And I thought I heard tires screech. I guess I was just hearing things, but man, that is a heartbreak for the 78. He had this race potentially won until the lap car got in the way, and now Rafael Leduc, the points leader, is going to take advantage of that and try to win this thing here in his home country. Meanwhile, David Rivera has gotten by P.J. Williams, and now he's battling Anthony McCrory for the third spot somehow, some way. Interesting battles we got going on up here at the front. Thornhill trying to figure out a way to get back to the lead before the end of this race, because he has been the dominant car all day long. And now Leduc has the lead as the white flag is displayed. White flag is out here in Canadian Tire. And Rafael Leduc caught a lucky break after, I guess, something happened with the 78 and the 12, to the point where it led to the 99 taking advantage and taking over the top spot. Now Leduc, all he's got to do is just stay consistent with the corners and not overdrive any of the corners, and he will be the winner. But Thornhill, on the other hand, has got to figure out ways to try to dive it into the corners a little bit more and make it stick. Like right there, he's still got into the grass. I feel like if he didn't get in the grass, he could have maybe gotten up to the back bumper of the 99, but no such luck in that case. Meanwhile, David Rivera has gone by for the third spot over McCrory as we are approaching the final corners of the race. Thornhill, I don't think he's going to be able to pull it off. I think it's all the home country Canadian boy Rafael Leduc. Checkered flag. Rafael Leduc wins the Discount Tire 300 at Canadian Tire Motorsports Park. First career Marvel Studios Cup Series win, and it comes on a road course in his home country of Canada. Unbelievable. This has got to be an emotional win for this team. Absolutely emotional. He gets his first win ever in this series, and it's in his home country. My goodness. Caught a lucky break at the end just when you thought it felt like it was a heartbreak for him. He somehow took advantage of something that happened, and I couldn't catch as to what it was. But the 99 is back in victory lane. But let's look at the rest of the results. Tough break for Nelson Thornhill, though. He led 9 out of the 11 laps and comes up short in the second spot, but a great points day nonetheless for him. That should maybe put him back up in the top 15 of things. David Rivera gets a great run in the third spot. Solid fourth place finish for Anthony McCrory. And then the highest finishing rookie in the field was P.J. Williams in fifth. Great run for him. Great run for Benjamin Miles in the sixth position. Mark Lane with a solid run in seventh. Second straight top 10 finish. Eighth was a solid finish for Matt Haas. Great run in ninth for Dougie Shears, and a great run in 10th for Phil Parker. Rest of the top 20 was Oscar Anderson, Sean Galligan, James Qualls, DJ Curtis, Emmanuel Hartnett, Seth Cole, Preston Blord, JT Bryant, Jessica Sheldon, despite it says she retired from the race, and then Zachary Fitzwater. Rest of the lead lap cars were Carson Gum, Chris Dollerton, Kyle Matthews, Matt McIntyre, and Jesse King. We got some couple scattered cars that were lapped down, such as Dylan Young, Trent Dunham, and Kev Shear. And then everybody else was out of the race after stuff that happened. And I didn't know Chris Michaels was involved in a wreck, and that's going to cost him a lot of points. But he and Joshua Sekuli were out, along with Zach Rogers, Nathaniel Reed, Dylan Poteet, Jonathan Zorling, Grayson Acevedo, Dylan Thoreau, Johnny Gardner, Austin LaPlante, Joshua Collard, Charles Sanford, Dorian Facepuncher, and Ashland Boyd. Well, that does it for our coverage here today at Canadian Tire. And keep in mind, now that the first 5 races are over, whoever's outside the top 30 in points now are the ones that have to qualify their way in. And with that said, next week, we head to another new track. We head to Arizona Speedway. And that should be an interesting race. But until then, here are your results, rookie points, and regular points heading into Arizona. And this is Levi McIntyre, signing off.